Tomorrow, a Senate subcommittee opens hearings into stolen securities and their use by organized crime. Billions of dollars worth of stocks and bonds have been stolen by the underworld and used to finance a host of illegal activities. Robert Goralski has prepared a special report on this.
Each year, nearly 8 billion shares of stock are traded on exchanges throughout the country. Most of the certificates pile up in banks and brokerage houses where they're held for their owners. About $1 billion in these securities are stolen or lost every year, an average of nearly $4 million worth a day. Many of these certificates end up in the hands of organized crime, which uses them as collateral for loans or to buy legitimate businesses. Vincent Teresa is a former mobster who was involved in stolen securities. He has turned government witness, has testified before a Senate committee, 18 juries, and is under federal protection. We weren't allowed to photograph his face.
The securities in the last 10 years have come a long way. Years ago, they were a novelty, you know. If someone would steal some securities, they wouldn't know what to do with them. They really wouldn't know what to do with them. But in the last 10 years, it's come into its own. It's probably one of the biggest money makers the mob's got right now.
But this could not exist, really, without some kind of inside men.
There have to be inside men. If you take young fellows that work in there, stay in New York in the big brokerage houses, right? I don't know what they earn for pay, probably $150 a week. They're living in New York City where their expenses are tremendous. They get high living taste in their mouth. They want to have a new Cadillac or so forth, you know. They got a broad on the string that they want, you know. And, they need more money. It's as simple as that. They're not being paid enough money. So someone approaches them, you know, why don't you give me a few pieces of paper? You'll never get in trouble. So they try it. 1 or 2 pieces of print. They give them 7-8% of the value. Oh, if the guy steals $100,000 and he gets himself $7,000, oh, he figures it's a nice game to be in. What do? He just put a piece of paper in his pocket and walked away with it. So maybe like in Merrill Lynch in New York, there's probably $20 million worth of stock in one vault, so they're not going to miss $300,000-400,000, not right away. We might look like a bunch of big rough and tumble fools, but we don't make money being fools. You know, no one comes and hands us money. We have to go out and steal it.
Organized crime uses foreign bases like the Isle of Sark in the English Channel to set up banks founded on stolen securities. The certificates also may be held in legitimate institutions such as Swiss banks. In many cases, money earned from the stolen stock or the certificates themselves flow back to the United States through the Bahamas. They use mob-operated companies and respectable banks. In the end, U.S. brokers and banks get hurt or go out of business because they don't know what they have in their vaults. The stock exchanges are now trying to identify stolen stock through computers. But the banks and many brokerage houses are reluctant to join in such a program because they'd be held legally and financially responsible.
Part of the problem is that the banking institutions and brokerage institutions don't really want to know what they have in-house in their portfolios in the way of stolen and missing securities. One of the banks in New York checked a small portfolio of about 70 certificates. It was on a demand loan. 69 out of 70 bounced. We had them listed on the system as being stolen.
There's no question about it. You have to have support from the legitimate, or so-called legitimate people, bankers and brokers and so forth. Without them, you're not. Just having the paper in your hand doesn't mean a thing. Because if you were just to pick up a piece of stolen security and walk into a bank by yourself and say, I want to cash this, they'd have to investigate you. But if you walked into a banker that's a friend of yours and say, hey, I want to make an 80% loan on this security, all he does is he puts it in a brown envelope and puts it in the vault, you see, and he gives you the money. If you look into their background, you'll find out that every one of these guys that have helped you has got bad habits. He either likes to gamble, he likes to play with broads on the side, he likes to keep an apartment for another girl, you know, he's probably married, and he wants to live a double life. He wants to go to work every day with the white shirt and the black tie on and look nice and happy and clean, but underneath he's just as bad as I am because he's stealing just like I am. I'm on the other side of the law now by choice and by force, let's put it that way. But if I had a mind to right now, I could make myself $2 or $3 million by the middle of October in stolen securities. That's for my own end. That's after paying everybody off.
Some banks and brokerage houses have gone out of business already, in part because of the stolen securities racket. The Senate Investigating Committee feels the problem is serious enough to resume hearings tomorrow. It'll consider steps Congress might take to head off even greater trouble. Robert Goralski, NBC News in Washington.